Hey everybody, Christopher here, and today I want to talk about creating Des. Des is a antagonist in Escape from Planet Omega 12, my upcoming sci-fi animated series. And if you're not familiar with this, it incorporates both AI animation with practical effects elements. I am traditionally a practical effects artist. I love stop motion. I love cable controlled puppets. I love miniatures, and all those things are in Escape from Planet Omega 12. But if I wanted to make this movie with purely practical means, I'd never be able to do that on the budget that I'm allowed. So I'm incorporating the main characters as AI characters. And my dog is barking because, this is just how things go. Anyway, so this is kind of in the tradition of movies like Ralph Bakshi and Frank Frazetta's Fire and Ice, Heavy Metal, the animated series, or the animated movie, series like Samurai Jack, a little bit of inspiration from Love, Death, Robots, and of course, like the old school, and sorry about all the dog noise, of course, they're quiet until I'm recording, but stuff like Forbidden Planet, the original Star Trek series, Lost in Space, Robinson Crusoe on Mars, a little bit of Barbarella, Green Slime, like kind of that old school 60s, 70s, a little bit 1950s sci-fi aesthetic as well. It's a little bit retro, but it's also my own aesthetic. So the idea is Tara, who is not this character, is marooned on an alien planet, and she's being hunted by Des. Des murdered the entire crew of the ship she was on, and Tara escaped. And Des is, this is Des. I don't want to spoil everything. But I have this upscaled image of Des that I created using AI and Photoshop. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how I did it. This is the lower resolution Photoshop file with the layers. And I wanted to create a consistent character. Consistent down to the rips, all that sort of thing. Her uniform, her clothing won't always be ripped, but I wanted something form-fitting. I tried different AI generations, and I'll show you, let's see, what did I get? I don't think I kept many of I must have them in a different place, so never mind. But I'll just show you. Now, this is going to be censored for YouTube, but if you're watching this on my Substack, I won't bother censoring it. So if you want to become a paid supporter there, you can see that. But I'm an artist, and artists deal with nude figures. So here we go. I originally started with a generation of her as a nude figure. And the reason I did that was I wanted to make sure I got her form right. And I also wanted to make sure when you generate clothes on a character, you do different generations. They're going to be different every time, and they're not going to give you what that you wanted. I essentially just wanted her to have a wetsuit. So what I did was I started layering on things like I fixed her hands a little bit, and then I did a duplicate of her body. This is essentially just her. I jumped a layer and I desaturated and darkened her body. And then I went in and kind of created some stretchy fabric between her breasts. And then I redded out her eyes. So now you can see, get a look here. There's her eyes. And here's that stretchy fabric so you can see. And then I started adding the tears, and the tears I got from different iterations that I generated of her with a suit, but the suit wasn't what I wanted, but the tears were. So I just took those tears that I liked and I photoshopped them in. Now, the reason that I have these consistent, or I wanted these tears, was because of an incident that she was in. And then I did the same thing. Let's see, this is an upscale, so you can get a better look at Des here in full resolution. I also did a Roop face replacement. I trained a specific face for Des, And here you can see this is a pretty high resolution. Now there are little like things here, like her toes are a little messed up, but in the grand scheme of things, no one's going to see that. Here are her claws. She has clawed fingers. Those claws are so sharp she can take your head off. Anyway, so I also had another pose, same thing. Started out with a nude figure, like so. And again, this is easier. And then I just started painting in the clothes. I did rips in the knees. Same thing. I added in the rips. So the same rips, I just kind of readjusted them, made her eyes red. And then I shrank the image down. So she's a little bit like this. So now we have keyframes. And the idea is to go from this pose to this pose in Kling. I wanted her to squat down. And I wanted the wrinkles, or not the wrinkles, the tears to stay consistent when she squatted down. So I went over to Kling. Now, Kling I have is one of the AI services that I use. And I asked Kling, let me show you this, to do a rotation so I could have different starting points. You see, it added some tears in the back, which actually I thought was pretty cool. I don't know if I'm going to stick with those or not, or if it's too much hassle. But the idea is I can get different angles, different starting points for animations for her, and the riffs would stay consistent. And I had different iterations of this, you know. But here's the thing about Kling. I like Kling. I think it's very good for certain things. It's added high heels to her bare feet. Bit weird. It also has some, you know, twisting around, kind of like Terminator 2, morphing from one side to another. But I tried different iterations of this. And having her walk back and forth. Like I said, I can have different starting points. See, the tears are different on this one. Not bad. Here's one without the rips. And I figure most of the time she's not going to have the rips. Like I said, there's a certain incident that her clothes get ripped. And I think that's pretty cool. But one of the things about Kling I'm noticing is that when I have original characters that are a little different, it kind of wants to turn her a little more CGI looking. Like she's a CGI model. You know, one of those kind of like CGI doll forms. Oh, here's something a little different. I am trying out... This is silly. There's definitely something wrong with the way he's walking here. This is Captain Bryo. I'm trying out their motion capture where I load videos in. And, of course, my dog's going to start whining because I'm in here talking. So I tried some motion capture, and it really doesn't work very well yet. Now, Kling has said this is experimental. They're working on this, so, you know. But anyway, so now what I have is, you can see here I've got the two poses over here. And she squats down, and you notice something weird, all right? As she comes down, her face does this weird little jittery thing. Now, I like the way that she comes down, but as far as animation goes, that kind of inconsistent face as she moves down, it's like attempting motion blur or something, but it's not working. It's just not acceptable. I might be able to fix that by reducing the frame rate and then using flow frames to bump the frame rate back up. So take out some of those jittery frames and see if flow frame can kind of make them look a little more consistent. I'm going to try that. But Kling is generally considered one of the best as far as... Here's another one. I tried it a little different. You know, like I said, I like the pose, the character, you know, it does really well. But, oh yeah, this one was without the keyframe. I just asked it to make her squat down. And I thought maybe it was the keyframe that was causing that inconsistency. But so far, this is something I hope Kling works on, because I do really like Kling. It's one of the services that I do pay for. So I thought, okay, I'll try some other AI models. And so I'm going to go over to Nim. This is my Nim page. You can see I've been working on some other stuff, including, let's see, some things here. Having Tara with the ORATs, I call them. And yeah, my dog will not stop whining. He's trying to tell me it's dinner time, and I'm telling him, just wait. And this is, what's this model? This is VEO3. So this is Google's animation model. Not bad. The ORATs look okay. They're not exactly the design I want, but you know, we'll go from there. But anyway, let's move on to this. And trying different models. So here is Juan 2.2. And I gotta say, I'm actually really happy with this. I like the way you see her nails elongate, which I think is very cool for the character. There's still a little bit of like she's blinking, which is kind of cool. Again, that could be fixed with a frame rate fix. But I'm very impressed. That's open source. Here is VEO2. This is Google. This does very well. Her fingernails don't elongate as much, but still very cool. And I asked it to put some wind in her hair, so I'm very impressed with that. Again, this is like she's a seductress character. She's supposed to be evil and conniving, but also very sensual and alluring. And then what do we have here? Again, another VEO2. So this is Google's model as well. This one's interesting. She kind of puts her hands out. There might be different occasions to use different versions of this. But so far, all of these models have definitely understood the assignment. And then here is Seed Dance, which I'm not as familiar with. It kind of made her eyes glow like she's a demon, and her fingers got really long and clawed. And I actually think it's really cool. The only problem is that it kind of gives her 3 fingers on each hand. But these are all really cool. Now, the one thing that I was really surprised at was that Midjourney let me do this. And again, it understood the assignment. Usually Midjourney, as soon as there's a hint of a character being even a little bit sexy, it just goes, no, I'm not doing that. Now, I've been trying to get Midjourney to understand her as a character a little bit. You can see they just kind of got her doing turns, but my only problem is it keeps giving her pupils, which I don't want. And I'm also trying to get it to understand these ORATs. It's doing a pretty good job with them sometimes. I'm still not sure if this is entirely usable. I think I'm still going to go with a stop motion puppet for this guy.
Well,
But maybe, I don't know, for some shots, I'm going to keep experimenting with what Midjourney can do. You see some of them kind of run a little comically. I've been trying my escape pod to see if it can help me with that, make it look a little better. Blob, which is another character, I'm experimenting with that, but check this out. It has keyframes, so I put in the keyframes, and at first it kind of has her doing some weird things. It keeps zooming in and then zooming back out, and I realized that you could set the motion to a lot or a little. So in these all, it was kind of like, I don't know, like music video camera work, where it's like coming in and pulling back out. But finally, like I said, I told it to slow down, and let's just look at some of these. These are, again, I'm really surprised Midjourney let me get away with these. But it certainly seems to understand the assignment with these different ones. That one, it looks like you can kind of see down her shirt, like her shirt's open, which it's not. So that one didn't make sense, but still, I'm actually really impressed. Now, Midjourney is lower frame rate, I believe, and lower resolution. But again, I can fix the frame rate, and I can upscale. And then last but not least, I just took this one over to, let me find it. I've got so many tabs open. I had it open just a minute ago. Yes, Matte Anything. So you put the video in here, And you can get this as a local download, but there's a Hugging Face page where you can test it out. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This time it worked. I put in the video, and then I had it select a matte, and then it gave me a green screen key, and it also gave me the alpha channel. So pretty cool, you know, from a different AI generates to Photoshop paint overs, some face replacement, upscaling, and then to various video models and to matting. And now I can composite her into the scene, and I will also use Roop or maybe Fantasy Portrait once I get the new computer, and have her talking as she does this movement. And then we got a full performance. Oh, speaking of which, please go over to Christopher Moonlight Productions and, like I said at the beginning of this, become a subscriber. You can subscribe for free, and there are plenty of articles. There's more in writing, with some more demos of the making of Des, so you can look at that, with some exclusive paywalled content that you, if you become a supporter, you can get access to, and that support goes to helping me to get a new computer and get more funding to create Escape from Planet Omega 12. My current computer is, it's done for. No, it's not done for. It still works just fine, but a lot of the AI that I want to run won't run on my computer because it's old. I need an upgraded computer, and I'm raising funds for that. And so become a paid member, and you can support and get that exclusive content. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I very much appreciate you checking it out, and I'm very excited about Des. Leave in the comments, what do you think about Des's design? You know, it's simple, but I like it a lot. The red skin is kind of like an homage to Deja Thoris of Barsoom from A Princess of Mars, which is another huge influence, along with Ray Bradbury's work, Frank Frazetta, that sort of thing, on Escape from Planet Omega 12. So check it out. Thanks for watching.